Hello, and thank you for taking the time to check out my Unreal Engine 4 sound demonstration video. You'll notice that I've used the standard strategy game that you can obtain from the Unreal sites here. What I'd done was basically take every sound that was in the game and remake them. So what I'm going to do is just press play here and let you have a listen, and then we'll talk about some of the sounds after the sound has been played. So you'll notice that I'm just throwing in some bases here in preparation for the wave of enemies to arrive. The construction sounds were the only sounds really that I didn't change from the game. I just liked them the way that they were. The character voices were also from the original file before removing all of the audio. Basically, this whole project itself, as you can see here, didn't take me very long at all, just a few hours, just implementing some sounds into it. That's enough there. So basically, one of the things I had trouble with this particular project was the lava spurts that happened randomly throughout the game. Part of the original emitters meant that they just happened, and I could never really get the timing right with my sound cue. So they would the sound of the lava would hit as and when the animation does. So obviously this is the sound cue itself. I've now disabled the delays, so it just runs naturally. There's the emitter page, but what I had done was come up with some blueprint coding to create my own spurts. That way then I got a little bit more control over when the sound follows the animation. Kind of the same thing with the dust particles that happen as well. One of the things that I found was they just randomly fell, and it just didn't quite match up. I couldn't quite get it. So every time the animation happened with the dust, that the sound would trigger at exactly that moment in time. It just didn't feel right, and it didn't look very right, especially with the lava being the centerpiece of this map. Your eyes are automatically drawn to it, and if it doesn't look right, then it's not going to be right for that particular application. Event, as you can see there's the sound cue for it. One of the things I also didn't like with the dust, especially with the original sound file, was the fact that dust just fell. And for me as a sound designer, dust doesn't just randomly fall. So I wanted to incorporate that. There's the rocks sounding with something, so I've decided to add some rumbles here, so that will give the realism that something's happened, an impact has happened, that will allow the dust to fall. Obviously it's a mining looking map, things are going on, so it would indicate that something's happened which will cause that. And also there's earthquakes, or at least I've decided that there's earthquakes in this map that will give that effect. One of the things I also done with this map was create cues, a lot of cues around the map here for wind, different types of wind. So as you move in and out with the camera, the wind would change. The further out you become, the more likely that you'll hear the wind, and the further in you go, the more likely you'll hear the lava. So just something that I felt was that was needed to make the map work better. Adding to that, I decided to add some low-end rumble, some low-end sweetener to the map. So just, it's an industrial setting. I just found that it would work well with that. The lava cues I placed randomly. So although I got the spurt sounds, the lava was a few cues of lava which I placed in there. They allow the sound to sort of differ as the player moves around, but still giving the illusion that it's moving throughout the game. So obviously one of the other things here with the character designs, I wanted to, as you can hear here, put the sounds to the animations of the characters moving. I did the same again here for the death sounds. These sounds were sounds that I had created myself from my sound design for Rise, one of the other games that I worked on. So a lot of the sounds here were already prefabricated by myself. Some footprints which were just, I think, from Sound Library, as you can hear. And then I backed that up with a bit of gravel sound. Obviously there's dust falling, so the concrete isn't going to be as clean sounding. So I wanted to layer that with a little bit of gravel for that realism that they're walking on a dusty environment. Wanted to back that up again with some metal, because they're walking, with some armor, and obviously finally clothes. And this is what I wanted to do for that. All the sounds here were manipulated and cut and everything through Logic Pro. Here's a cannon, which again I wanted to add, there's some wood creaking going on because there's an old wooden cannon, and you'll hear the same again for the archer. So there is a bit of movement going on in the animation, which I felt needed that little extra sound to sort of back that up. So the projectiles on these things, especially for the arrows, I wanted the little whiz bars, as you can hear there, with a tail end of the sound as it moves towards the player. Very similarly, I've done the same with the cannonballs, but added some gore to it. I felt some gore was needed, as there was an asset to emit some gore from the player as they got hit. So yeah, just kind of back that up visually with that. And the fire side of things. So on the game here, you'll see, I'll just pull up here, the main fire itself, which slows down the player and obviously gives them damage as the player passes through. Now you'll see here, just find the viewpoint here. You'll see here that the sound itself, looking at the design, it's a gas-driven, despite it being an old concrete building there, a gas-driven fire. So I wanted to add elements of that into the sound design here. So the initial starting, this is the starting sound. You hear there's a compression of air running through, mixture with a bit of flame, and so it just gives you the idea that something's just been lit from something like canister. And as you can see there, I mixed the sounds up, volumes to try and make them blend a little bit better. Very similarly with the fire itself, so I had to do the same again for the fire sound. As it continues to roll through. So it was just the beginning bit that it just needed a little bit of extra sound. There you go. So there's the fire. Just open that up quickly, and you can see there's a few elements there. So we've got the low hum of the fire, some crackle, and just some variation to sort of make it sound a little bit more authentic. Moving forward. So this is the level sound that comes up to let you know that you've started. This is actually a combination of a few sounds that I used again through my Rise game that I had created. So just recycled a couple of sounds. Initially I would have tried to record these sounds directly firsthand. Tried to come up with fresh content each time, but I just wanted to knock up this video very quickly just so I can send this over to you. However, my next videos moving forward will more than likely be recorded fresh content from my recording equipment that I've got to hand home. So one of the things I decided not to do in this particular project was to use Wise, although there's the Wise picker. I just didn't feel it was needed for this particular project. There are some projects coming up that I will be uploading very soon, which will have some Wise integration going on, but just for this particular one I didn't feel it was needed, despite it being loaded there on the bottom of the screen along with Reaper. Reaper I used to come up with a few of the sounds for this particular project, and that I hadn't already used with Logic through my previous sessions. That's my project. Thank you for watching.